I went away to training camp with the Dallas Cowboys. And it's really interesting the way that our practices worked out. We'd have meetings in the morning, we'd have practice in the afternoon, and there'd be about a 3 or 4 hour gap in the middle of the day where most people would take a nap or get recovery. And I spent that time working with Peter on creating what was the first version of Demiplane.
Yeah, the idea for Demiplane really came out of this lifelong love for playing tabletop role-playing games.
Peter and I grew up across the street from each other, and he would come over and bring his books, and I'd bring out my dice and we would play. When I went to go play football, I was living in Dallas, and it was just not manageable to be able to play in person. And we said, there must be something out there that can help us play online.
You always start by looking at the founders. What we saw were a couple of things in the founders. One is a passion for the area that they're trying to address. In fact, they'd been doing it since they were kids. So they knew the market really, really well.
The application has changed dramatically from its original form. When we look back, I still have design files from those first iterations of the design.
What we thought was really, really key at the start was making sure that we were solving the right problem.
We had a pretty good idea of how things were going to go. Of course, with any good startup, that plan quickly went to the wayside.
We started out solely as a platform that connected game masters and players.
We were doing a great job of matching people together to find their groups.
And everybody found their match and they loved us for it.
And then they were going to play their games, and they were leaving our site because they no longer needed us because we had done the thing that we were trying to do. We were successful, but also we're not doing the things that we needed from a company standpoint to be able to make this viable.
You know, it's interesting, when you start something like Titletown Tech, you realize that you're not going to have a perfect design getting started. It's the same with our startup companies. You always get into market, figure out what's working, and find out, are there gaps that you need to come back and fill?
So we quickly introduced new tools and features that would help with user retention and encourage users that found their group to play their game utilizing our tool set.
On Demiplane, you pull out your phone, you search it, it's there, boom.
And from there, it's evolved even more to utilize IPs and game systems to bring users in by providing really easy to use and low barrier of entry tools to make those games easier to understand and play.
And we still, to this day, if we have a new idea, we'll try to bring as much data to the table that we can, and then we go to people who are way smarter than us and say, do you agree with this data? Does something look wrong? What do you think?
The fact that we had Titletown Tech to lean back on and their bevy of experience with startups, they could help us bring us back to that plan, and they could help us form new plans moving forward.
And so sometimes you can follow a script that's been done before. That's really not the case with what Demiplane was doing. And so a lot of it was spent time working with the founders, doing appropriate research, making connections out in the marketplace to get feedback and sensing early on about what they're doing, and then finding the points where there was some traction and then moving quickly to take advantage of those moments.
And so it's been great. It's been really good. Demiplane has a group of investors that are really fantastic, and Titletown Tech is one of them. They've been very supportive of Travis and I, and that's something that I feel like is really valued, is that they trust us to know our industry and market well, and we can trust them to help guide us through these things or connect us with folks that do.
When you have a startup, you get to bring your dream to life. You also know that there's a lot of risk involved there. Your dream that you hope to bring to life may not make it to life, and you have to be okay with that when you get started. But you pour your heart into it and you work as hard as you can to get it there, and hopefully everything works out in the way that you want it to, or you can at least pivot to get it to a place where it's working out, and you can be successful in bringing it to market.